This is Pratishtha, your IELTS trainer. I hope everyone is doing good. Everyone is good with the grammar, with the listening, with the reading strategies that we did. Today, in this lesson, we are going to move ahead and do a little bit more of reading strategies. We are going to get into the detailed reading strategies so that uh, we are basically able to identify the answers in detail, right? That is essentially what it means. So I'm going to share my screen and let's see what is the agenda for today. So here we have detailed comprehension for today. So we are going to focus on detailed reading comprehension. We will learn the strategies to understand and analyze texts deeply, right? So now this is required when you are looking for answers which are very particular, right? Then we'll have practice exercises. So the importance of detailed comprehension, why focus on detailed comprehension, right? It helps in understanding text more thoroughly. So thorough understanding of the text improves the ability to analyze and interpret information, right? So analyzing and interpreting information. It is essential for academic and professional reading tasks, right? So of course it's obviously important for reading tasks, and it enhances critical thinking and inferencing skills, right? So critical thinking and inferencing skills are important here. Now we have strategies, right? Some of these strategies are skimming and scanning, right? So I think we have discussed this before. When we skim or when we scan, so see how a scanner works, right? So scanner will quickly go through all the documents and it will sort of print it out or whatever that document is supposed to be, right? So we get a general idea. That is usually the first thing that we do. We quickly skim or scan our stuff, then we annotate. Annotate means we highlight or we mark, right? So we will either take notes, we will highlight key points while reading. Then questioning. So if, for example, John is going to the park this morning, question why, like what was the reason behind it? Probably he was really happy. Probably he wanted to get some exercise, right? So these are the kind of questions that would really help us understand the text better. Then try to summarize the text. Summarizing is super important because in IELTS, you are going to get longer passages. And with longer passages, I would personally really suggest you to write, after every paragraph that you have read, write one line summary or just write a few words, right, about what this paragraph is about. Because IELTS has really long, reading texts. Then predicting. You need to predict what will happen next. So for example, you're reading a story and suddenly it says that the cloud has become darker. So you would understand that the tone of the text is now going to change, right? It is going to be a little somber, little sad, I would say. Now, practice activity. We will practice this. This is a smaller text, but we will practice a little bit longer. The rainforest is home to a vast number of species, many of which are not found anywhere in the world. So we are talking about rainforest. It plays a crucial role in maintaining the planet's climate by absorbing carbon dioxide and producing oxygen. That is what it do. It does. It is its functions. So answer the following question. What is the main idea of the passage? Why is the rainforest important? What can be inferred about biodiversity in the rainforest, right? So what's the main idea? The main idea of the passage is about rainforest. It's talking about rainforest and its qualities probably. Why is rainforest important? Rainforest is important because it is home to a vast number of species, right? And it produces oxygen. What can be inferred about the biodiversity in the rainforest? So what can be told about the biodiversity? So again, it said it hosts a vast number of species. So you can say there are diverse species. Those are also unique, right? Because it cannot be found anywhere else in the, it's like harder to find. Now we have inference and interpretation. So inference and interpretation, read the following sentences and infer the implied meaning. Now we need to infer the meaning, right? We need to sort of guess the meaning. First one, despite the heavy rain, the football game continued. It was implied that the players, they did not want to stop even though it was raining hard. They did not want to start. It shows that they were really determined, right? Second one, she glanced at her watch and quickened her pace. So she looked at her watch and she like started walking fast, which shows that she was in a hurry. Probably she is going somewhere important. So this probable scenarios. Probable means could be, like could, like this could happen, that could happen, the guessing game. He didn't answer his phone all day, which was unusual for him, right? So usually he answers it, but that particular day he did not answer his phone. So seemed like something was fishy, right? Something went wrong, or he was extremely busy. This is the inference that I can pull out based on what he did. Then we have summarizing the text. So read the following paragraph. Renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power are becoming increasingly popular as alternatives to fossil fuels, right? So these energy sources, they like wind and solar power, which are like given by nature. It's an alternate to fossil fuels, which are man-made. These sources are not only sustainable, but also reduce greenhouse gas emissions, helping to combat climate change, right? So renewable energy source like wind and solar are sustainable alternatives that help reduce emission. All in all, when we are writing a summary, we don't name particulars, avoid giving examples, etc. Right? These things. So here we have not given any examples that renewable energy sources because we had to give it, we can also avoid. So renewable energy sources are sustainable alternatives that help reduce emissions. That's all. Then before we move forward to little lifelike examples, here are some tips. Read actively. Again, read actively. What does it mean? What does it mean that you need to read actively? It does not mean that you are running and reading, right? It means that you are taking down notes. You are actively engaged with the text. You are asking yourself questions. Expand your vocabulary, because the better vocabulary that you have, you will be able to read in a better way, right? Because you don't have to go back to dictionary, again and again, or you don't have to spend time thinking about what the answer could be, so on and so forth. Practice regularly. You need to read a variety of text, right? So in IELTS, you can get any kind of text related to science, related to social science, related to history, literature, anything can come, right? And then use context clues. Again, if you feel vocabulary is too hard for you, I would highly suggest you to use context. Try to understand, try to infer the meaning according to the context. All right, so I would suggest that we go on and take a look at some exercises. Why exercises are important? Because we need to have an idea of what we can do, right, and how we can solve things. So it's a small text, right? It's nothing big, but it will really help us understand that um, it's basically a general activity. It's not even reading, to be honest. It's just how you are able to implement this strategy that I showed you into the into the exam. So for example, this is the question that we have. It's just a fill in the blank question, right? And this is also vocabulary. So let's say former astronaut Ellen Ochau says that although she doesn't have a definite idea of when it might happen, she dashed that humans will someday need to be able to live in other environments other than those found on Earth. So there was this astronaut. right? She says that she does not have an idea when will it happen, but she dashed that humans will. So she has no idea, first of all. So no idea means she does not have a definite answer. Here, a word should come, which means that it's not definite, it is a guess. So demands will never come because she cannot demand, right? She cannot demand that, um, she cannot demand from whoever, right? Then she doubts. She does not doubt it. She is pretty sure about it, but she just does not know about the idea. Like she does not know about the time frame. Establishes is also like when you are sure. She has established this fact. She has proven this fact. The answer is speculate. Speculate means she assumes or she is like unsure. It's like not sure, but like, it's there. So she speculates. Let's move on to this one. Beginning in the 1950s, Navajo Nation legislator Annie Dodge Wauneka continued working to promote public health. Okay, so this girl, she promoted public health. This dash effort involved traveling through the, so seems like, she continued beginning in the 1950s, where probably time was not right. I'm just inferring these facts, right? I'm just trying to assume these facts. This dash effort involved traveling throughout the vast Navajo homeland and writing a medical dictionary for speakers of Dine Bizad, the Navajo language. So seems like it was a pretty tough task, right? So now this dash effort, impartial means like partial or impartial, like impartial, like not on one particular side. So impartial is not there. Offhand is like when you're doing some things offhand, right? You are just like not focused really. So it's not that. Persistent effort. Persistent means continuous effort. So continuous is important. Mandatory, it was not really mandatory for her. It was that she was doing it, but it's mandatory does not make sense here. It was not mandatory. It was not like a compulsion for her, right? So it is persistent, her persistent efforts. So here, if you see, you will have to have a little bit of vocabulary, and that will only come when you are reading. When you're practicing reading, only then you will have that sort of, vocabulary in your mind. So I would really suggest you to read as much as possible, try to infer the meanings, and that would really help you solve passages. This is not the kind of passages that come in IELTS, but this is just a way for you to improve your inference and your vocabulary. So all sorts of text, no matter what, is really important for you to improve your reading overall. We can also go ahead and do like some other kinds of question. Let's do main purpose, this one. So we will do active reading. In 2007, computer scientist Louis Vuitton was working on converting printed books into digital format. So he was converting printed books into digital format. He found that some words were distorted enough that digital scanners could not recognize them, right? So problem with digital scanners. But most humans could easily read them. Based on that finding, Wanan invented a simple security test to keep automated bots out of the websites. The first word, so he felt that, there are digital things. So, for example, if M is written like this instead of simply like this, computers cannot recognize this. Computers can recognize this, computers cannot recognize this. And that is why we have CAPTCHA. If we want to identify that, we are human beings, that there is no scammy bot, they would give CAPTCHA in this form. And that is why we have CAPTCHA, like, irregular word patterns and all of that. So the first version of reCAPTCHA test asked users to type one known word and one of the many words scanners could not recognize. So these are the kinds of words that scanners could not recognize. Correct answers prove that the users were human and added data to the book digitizing project. Right? So now we have to find the main purpose. What is the main purpose? To discuss Von Ann's invention of reCAPTCHA, to explain how digital scanner work, to call attention to Won Ann's book digitizing project, to indicate how popular reCAPTCHA is. So here, to be honest, it's not really talking about the popularity of reCAPTCHA. It's not really calling attention either, because when you're calling attention, you ask the reader to do something, take an action now, do this today. It's like motivating to the readers to take some sort of action. So it's not calling attention either. So to discuss now these are really close answer, right? It is not, it's an explanation because it is explaining something, but it is not explaining the working mechanism of digital scanners, right? Because that is like they first scan it and how that scanning process works. It's not that. It is just discussing his invention in detail, how he started, what problems he faced. So it's just a discussion of his invention. So essentially, this is how you come across with a main idea. With that being said, I will move back to what we were doing before. And just give me a moment. And basically, this is how all of you have to identify and you have to try and figure out the answers to your question. For vocabulary based questions, you have to have at least a little bit of knowledge of vocabulary, which can only come with you reading a lot, practicing a lot. I mean, while you can infer, but there could be times like, let's say, um, 1 out of 10 times you won't be probably able to infer, right? So for that, you still need to have a backup plan if you want good marks, right? If you want a good point score, I would really suggest reading as much as you can. Even if it does not mean solving questions, don't solve questions, just read. With that being said, I think that should be it for today's lesson. If you have any kinds of doubt regarding reading, if you have read something, you don't understand that particular thing, if you don't understand any phrase, if you don't understand any word, you can always comment in the section or however way you want to comment or put your message across, you can do that, and I'll be ready to help. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope you will be able to read at least, and you will be able to make a habit of reading at least one small paragraph, or let's say two small paragraphs. If you're doing anything between 2 to 5 paragraphs per day, it's amazing. It would really help you a lot in your speaking, in your writing, and in your reading as well. So I hope you all